Alright, this is VC, and as promised, I'm here with the first episode of my mixing series. This part is going to be called Mixing Drums for Balance. In this episode, I just want to talk about levels and panning and why balance is important. Balancing the volume of your track is the fundamental starting point of every mix. Pushing up the faders and getting a balanced mix is the first order of business after you've recorded and edited your tracks. EQ and compression, although is extremely important, doesn't help at all if your balance is out of whack. Once you've understood balance in the mix, you will know when and where to use EQ and compression. But before I get started, there's an editing checklist that I follow every time before I start mixing. I'm not going to show you to keep the video short, but if you search on YouTube, you'll be able to find it and learn how to do it in a matter of minutes. The first thing I do is find the tempo. Then I identify the beat. And I name and organize all my tracks by group, as you can see here. And then I clean up any unwanted noise or sounds. For instance, when you have vocals, you may take the breaths out, or if you have an air conditioner in the background, you may remove that in the silent areas. And the first thing I want to show you in this video is how to create a bus. Working with my drums, I always create a drum bus. So you can see I have my drums organized and labeled by the color. And then all you're going to do here is going to go Command Shift in, and you're going to create a stereo aux track. Click create, and it's going to create an aux. And you're just going to rename it drum bus. You can see I already have mine set up, so I'm just going to delete this one. But what you want to do here, what you're going to do here is select all your drum tracks. Hold shift, and click. So now all your drum tracks are selected. You're going to go here to the output section. You're going to hold alt, shift, click, and keep holding alt and shift, and then go down the track. And you should be able to find drum bus. Click that. All of your drums will be sent to the drum bus. On your drum bus, you want to press Command, click on the solo. Now your drum bus is set. Now after I have my drum bus and all my other buses set up in the mix, I go through a step process. Step 1, I listen to the full mix. While listening to the full mix, I like to watch the master fader. So I go down here, I click on here. That way the master fader is always present, even when I click on something else. While I'm listening to the full mix, I'm watching the master fader for clipping and levels to see where it's at. To do this, I go to a part of the mix where everything is present. That's usually the hook or the chorus section. And then I'll loop it for like 4 bars. And I press play. So as you can see, I'm clipping, and that means it's too loud, and that's not good. What you want to do while you're mixing and what you want to aim for is around -6 to -5 dB. We do this to leave room for mastering. And so the next step I want to do is I want to bring down all the faders in the mix. I can do that by going to groups, clicking all, and dragging down all the faders. Now that's also going to bring down your master fader, and you want to bring that back up. So what you want to do is declick all, press alt, and click that, and it's going to bring the master fader right back to 0, and that's where you want it. That also brought down your drum bus, so you're going to click alt, 0, and I'll do that for all of my buses. Now that all of your tracks are at 0, you want to start from scratch by bringing each fader up one by one, and you want to listen for the balance in the mix. Also, while watching the master fader to make sure you're not clipping. The first track I'm going to start with is the kick, and I always start with the kick and the bass. So I'm going to go on ahead and press play, and I'm going to bring up the kick. I usually like to get the kick peaking around -10 dB. That's usually a pretty good level. I'm going to go on ahead and add my 808 in. If my kick is hitting around -10 dB, Once I added my 808, I want it to be hitting around -6, no more than that. And then after that, I'll bring in the snare and any other percussion after that. Now that I have all my drum elements in the mix, I can look at my master fader and see that I'm not peaking above -6. After I get my basic levels, I like to think about the stereo image. Certain instruments will be panned to the left and certain instruments will be panned to the right, and some instruments will stay directly in the middle. To give you a visual on what instruments go where, I pulled up a chart. So as you can see, you have your vocals, your snare, your bass, and your kick all in the middle. And then you have your other instruments panned off to the left and to the right. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find these documents. And this is another one. Again, you got the vocals, the snare, the bass, and the kick directly in the middle. And then you have other instruments panned left and panned right. I'm going to pan my hi-hats to the mid-left. And I already have my open hat pan to the right. Once I get my levels done for my drums, I go to my instruments and then my vocals. In the next episode, I want to talk about EQ and compression, and I'll be using the drums that we used in this episode to demonstrate that.